2026 is not going to be the same Etsy as it was in 2024 or even 2025. AI entering the chat is changing the game. Customer spending habits and their expectations are changing, and print on demand as a whole industry overall is evolving. So that's why in this video, we're going over the top trends, tactics, strategies, and shortcuts to making sure that you have a way to stick out in 2026, even as a brand new seller. So if you are a brand new seller and you want to make a profitable print-on-demand Etsy store, then this is exactly what you're going to do. Step one is making sure that you are not competing for these high-level niches that are already dominated by big stores. Instead, you're going to be going for micro niches. If you want to enter niches or micro niches that are data backed, then you can use eRank. So for example, maybe you wanted to make a mama shirt. Well, we're actually going to go into eRank and let's just type in mama shirt and let's just look down the data here, and you're going to find different types of keyword matches related to mama shirt. And what you want to be looking for is finding other keywords within this keyword that are more niche down, aka micro niches, that have high search, low competition. So you're just going to scroll through this list and we're going to find ones that have a decent search to competition. Things like groovy mama shirt here. If we scroll down, things like Thanksgiving mama shirt, things like Western mama shirt, country mama shirt. I see here we have mom and son matching. Or if you really don't know what to sell, just typing in your product like shirt and then scrolling down and seeing if you can find those high search, low competition. Thing is, you do want to avoid things like Shrek shirt, anything that is profiting off a brand, a movie, a person that is not you is copyright and you can get in trouble. So just avoid anything like that. But we have things like queer shirt. We have things like Ian shirt. I have a feeling that might be related to a brand, so let's skip that one. Things like Labubu, avoid stuff like that. But we have things like a capybara shirt or Finch's shirt. Also don't know what that refers to. Or things like an orca shirt. I even worked with a student who just started their store and they had filled up their store with jokes around a career. I had never even heard of this career and I did not understand any of the jokes on the t-shirts because I was not in that niche myself. And he made 30 sales in his first month because there was no one actually fighting for this niche. No one actually knew how to even enter this niche because they don't get the inside jokes. So either you can find your micro niches or do the ones that are close to you that you understand. Well, why is this important? Well, when you come to the high level niches, things like mama shirt, there are already thousands of stores with thousands and thousands and thousands of reviews and sales behind those listings. And everyone, mama shirt, for example, is top of mind for people. It's going to be one of the first niches they start designing for. Versus if you get ahead of that and you immediately head for the micro niches that don't yet have a lot of competition and have a lot of room for growth, for new trends to be entered, for new personalization to be applied to it, well, then you have a much higher likelihood of making sales and growing your store and the reviews behind your store and the sales behind your store so you can rank higher by, again, just competing for those micro niches. The second thing that brand new sellers are going to want to do is make sure they are researching trends that are doing well right now and are underrepresented in their micro niches. So trends have always been big in t-shirts, but something I've noticed in the last year or two is that they are more important than ever. Once a trend starts, it seems it is spreading and people across many niches seem to like it. Versus when I first started, everything that sold was extremely different. There was no major just one type of style that did really well on Etsy. Versus now, I notice a new trend pops up and eventually it'll fade out, or sometimes it'll stay for a long time. A trend like the coquette trend, which is very girly and blue with bows, has been around for probably over a year and a half now, and it's not something I thought would stick around. So when you're doing research on Etsy for your micro niche, something you want to do is actually look up and study that higher level niche that you originally typed into eRank, for example. So for example, typing in mama shirt, and you might start to see that a lot of of the designs have trending themes. We have things like, again, this blue coquette. We have things like stamps that have been doing really well lately. We have things that are just the outline of the text across the top of a shirt. We have things here like the floral background. So how can you grab these trends and apply them to your micro niche? For example, this hunting mama shirt right here already is super niche down, but one of the keywords that we saw that are doing well is mom and son matching. So maybe you can make a design like this that has both the mama and son version together in one listing to be bought together as a matching pair. The next thing I noticed that seemed to change in 2025 compared to what I noticed a little bit earlier on my print on demand journey is that mockups are becoming extremely standardized, and people seem to like it when people are using these mockups that do well for others. I've had a lot of students ask me, well, I don't want to look like every other single Etsy listing. But for me, what I've done is I've always duplicated my listings. So I'll have my design and I'll use a mockup that I think does really well. And then I'll duplicate the listing and test it with a mockup that I just see a lot of other bestsellers using. And usually that duplicate listing that uses the very popular mockup on Etsy is the one that gets more traction. So even just going through this niche here and looking at all the listings here, you'll notice majority of the bestsellers are using folded mockups, and a lot of them are using this same espresso one, or they're using a sand one here. But you'll notice, I'd say at least 80% of them are using a folded mockup. And specifically, as we can see here right now, the top 3 right here all use the exact same photo, just in different colors. And once you start seeing this one, you'll notice it is everywhere on Etsy. And it's not to say that this mockup is going to be the mockup that sells forever. I have seen these change, mockups trends change. It used to be a girl wearing a pepper shirt that killed it on Etsy, but it has moved recently to these specific folded ones. So not only should you be doing research for trending designs and finding ways to make your own versions and apply them to micro niches, but you should also be studying mockups and know that those also have trends. And usually when you use a trending mockup, it actually does help out your listing. The next thing that people should be doing if they want to see consistent sales throughout the year is making sure that they have a good percentage of their listings being evergreen listings. Evergreen listings are listings or niches that are not tied to a holiday. So they're not Christmas shirts, they're not Thanksgiving shirts, they're not Halloween shirts. They're things like gifts, like careers, pets, different hobbies, because these can sell year round and they're not tied to a holiday. Yes, holidays do amazing for people, but I've had so many students who just focused on holidays, had major sales, and then the minute that holiday passed, they had crickets in their store. So my recommendation for people that want to get consistent sales in their store is make sure that first you're building up a healthy amount of evergreen listings that are selling daily before you put all your focus into building up holiday listings. I didn't start adding anything that tied into a holiday until maybe a year and a half after I opened my store, and after I was getting a good amount of daily sales from all my evergreen listings, so that when holidays did pass, I didn't go down to 0 sales again. New sellers are also finding ways to add value to their listings or to the micro niches they're in. We already talked about applying trends to your micro niches, but how about different ways to add value that maybe haven't broken into that niche yet? And the 2 best ways that I can recommend doing that are offering embroidery and offering personalization. And if you use Printify, which is a print-on-demand supplier, they're who I've used since I opened my store to print and fulfill all of my Etsy listings, well, they have a way that you're able to do both embroidery and personalization extremely simple right within their platform. So if you go into Etsy and you go into their catalog, they have a full area for embroidery. So you can grab a lot of the best sellers, things like the Gildan 18,000, which is my bestseller in my store. You can grab things like the Comfort Colors 1717. You could grab different hoodies. You can grab things like zip ups, different types of hats, which also do really well, and you can offer embroidery with them. I've noticed in late 2025, and I'm sure it's just going to continue going into 2026, that embroidered products have this premium feel, and the people offering them are making very good sales. You do have to be very careful about the design that you're putting on embroidery. I do have a video on my channel about designing for embroidery because it is different than designing for DTG, so I highly recommend you go and check that out. But in a landscape where being able to offer more to customers are just generally expecting more. So a lot of times people, when they're looking, are looking for things that have embroidery, and they're willing to pay a little bit more for it. And especially if you are in this micro niche, there's probably a lack of embroidered options in there for these people. So if you can find those micro niches that, again, haven't had this value add brought in, this is a great way for you to shine. And Printify now also allows you to automate personalization. A lot of people didn't offer personalization before because it was a lot of work. You'd have to go back to your original file, edit it for your customer, re-upload it, versus Printify now has introduced a way to automate that so that a customer can add in a custom name. They can even add in a custom photo now, which automatically gets picked up by Printify, and all you have to do is approve it and then it's sent to print. If you want to watch the full tutorial on that, I will link that as the next video that comes up after this one. Another make it or break it for a seller, especially in 2026, is their customer service. There are so many scams online. I feel like now more than ever, people are hesitant to order online, and they are more aware of scams and possibly ordering something that isn't legit. I won't lie, even though I've been on Etsy forever, I still have a little bit of a fear about ordering from Etsy sometimes, even though, yes, I have ordered many things from Etsy. So your job, especially as a brand new seller, is to make your customers happy and to make them less scared to buy from you. As a new seller, a lot of people won't trust your store yet. You don't have reviews. So the best way to help people get around that is making sure in your photos that you have a quality guarantee. And as a brand new seller, I now highly recommend to people running or allowing free returns and exchanges. If you live in the US on Printify, you can set a return address so that you can actually get those orders, which is awesome. I'm actually from Canada, so I can't get my refunds and exchanges. So honestly, I just eat the cost. Now that I have a very established Etsy store, I don't offer these free returns and exchanges anymore. But if I were to start a brand new Etsy shop, I would 100% just accept this as a beginning investment to building up your store. People are not going to want to buy from you if you have no reviews, if you have no past sales. They can't return things. They have no proof of what they're going to get is actually going to be like the photo. So your job is to minimize and address any potential concern they have by offering guarantees and by letting them return and exchange it. And then if you don't want to do that forever, that's fine. You can change your policies later on, but get those initial sales and reviews. What helps my just mental clarity overall, if people are complaining on Etsy and people are rude to me and I don't want to deal with them, I'll honestly just refund them. It makes them happy. It minimizes 1-star reviews. And now that I've just made up my mind on that, and I'm not going to consistently just fret about losing $20 by having to refund a sale, it has helped my mental health when it comes to customer service so much. The next thing they're doing is they are using AI to help speed up their processes, but not replace their learning. AI can help with so much, but it doesn't replace how you understand something. You can use AI to create a graphic design for you. But if you don't know what makes a good graphic design, you're going to be putting trash out there. You need to have a solid foundation first of what makes a good graphic design so that you can actually make that with AI. Same with SEO. You need to understand what makes a good title, what makes a good description, what makes good tags. Because even if you have AI create it for you, most of the time it's not perfect. I do use AI to speed up and to write my SEO, but most times. I'm changing some of it. I'm shuffling around some of the keywords. So you need to understand basics and foundations first before you're fully reliant on AI to run your business. I have a full ChatGPT project in which I've trained it to do how I do my SEO. So I've written out all my rules for SEO, and even that isn't perfect. But what it does do for me is I just give it my mockup, and then I get my title, my top of my description. The rest of my description is a template. Then I have my tags, and then I have my alt tag, and I can just copy and paste this in. But usually, especially in the title, I am making a few adjustments. I even now use it for my customer service just to save me time on typing things that I've responded to a million times. I created a Google Doc with all my common questions and how I respond to them, and then I keep building that up as I get new questions. And now in my ChatGPT project, all I have to do is paste in what a customer sent to me, and it writes out pretty much a better response than I would have written myself because it's longer. I can ask it to make it shorter if I want, but it follows all of my rules. I use a lot of exclamation points. I use smileys. I have trained this, but again, I need to understand what makes good customer service because I needed to train this ChatGPT, and I'm just using it for speed now. And what I think is more important now than ever, especially with the introduction of AI and so many businesses being started because of AI, having a brand is more important than ever. And not only just a brand, but a personal connection brand. So, as on my Etsy, I'm always talking as if it's me. Christina, in my photo for my Etsy, I have my photo. Yes, I have my logo as my shop logo, but for my Etsy account, which also shows up on your seller account, is my photo and my name. I'm also making sure I'm having consistent branding so that people recognize me. So I'm making sure I'm using the same colors for my logo and my banners. I'm using the same type of wording all across my page, especially for my Shopify store now. I have tried to make it a very emotional connection with everyone on my customer email list, even on my site. I say thank you so much from the owner. Thank you so much for supporting my small business. Trying to create just this connection with someone that feels more human to human. Help someone know they're not just buying from an AI machine or a big company, which is a big reason people are shopping on Etsy because they want to support another human. And again, that also includes just having a recognizable, consistent branding across your store. Knowing branding, and again, this comes back to just understanding the basics and not highly just relying on AI for everything, but having consistent branding makes someone trust you more. It makes you feel like you have a brand. It helps someone recognize you more as well, versus for someone who made AI, they might just be throwing up AI photos on everything. Everything looks mismatched and nothing looks that trustworthy. Try just using I words, building and feeling a connection with someone, thank them as yourself, and then make sure your shop looks cohesive. And not just cohesive, but also with a personality, a cohesive personality. And finally, I know I said the last one was the most important, but maybe that was the biggest change for 2026 because this tip is the most important. The people who are going to see success in 2026 are not waiting for the perfect time, and they're not trying to be perfect. Launch small. You don't have to have 30, 40 listings already built before you even open your Etsy store. Open your Etsy store, have a goal to get 1 listing live. Then next week, have a goal to get 5 listings live. Then maybe another 5. And don't aim for your first ones to be perfect because no matter what, they're not. And that strive for perfection, while it sounds great, is literally just going to be procrastination. What people don't realize is the way to perfection is by doing, not by reading, not by studying, not by watching all of my YouTube videos, though I highly recommend you do that too. But don't be doing that as a way to distract yourself from actually taking action. Accept that your first listings are probably going to suck. They're probably not going to sell. I deactivated all my first listings, but every single time you get up a new listing, you're getting slightly better without even realizing it. Your mockups get slightly better. Your SEO gets slightly better. You're learning a little bit more. So instead of prioritizing perfection, prioritize action and just start doing. Thank you guys so much. Let me know if this video helped you at all and if you are planning to start a store in 2026. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you next week.